Hi, Greg the Brickitect here. Today we're taking a look at build number 8 of 10 from the LEGO Build-A-Book More Amazing Vehicles Volume 2. This is the big rig. In terms of complexity, it's a 2 out of 3. Functions, it's a 3 out of 3. Pieces, it's 3 out of 3. And for the design notes, it says it has a spacious cabin, big mirrors, massive grille, airfoil, fifth wheel, and mud guards. And its features are opening doors and a tipping cabin. This happened to be one of my favorite builds from this book, and there's only a few minor things that I would change about it, so let's take a closer look at it. Here's a look at the front of the big rig. It's a pretty solid build. In fact, for pieces, they gave this a 3 out of 3, and I can definitely back that up. This used 270 of the 278 pieces from the Super Speedster, which is the set that this is based on, and it was a really fun build. It took me a long time to put this all together, and as you can see when we go around this, you're going to see a lot of detail. The only thing that I would change about the front of this, as we see it here, is that there's no windshield, and I can understand why they did that. It's just the fact that the windshield that was provided really couldn't fit into the spot that they were trying to use here, and I can understand that, but if you look through behind the seats, there is actually a window in the back that's filled in, and that just seems kind of strange that there would be a back window but no front windshield. Here's the profile. It looks exactly like a rig like this should look like. You can see some of the functions right here. The doors open and close, and I like the way that works. That's perfectly hinged. And the only thing that I would change about the side of this is the second thing that I would change, and probably the only other thing, is that there's only 4 wheels with this. And I know that is a restriction of the set this is based on, but it doesn't really look quite right. There should be another wheel right here on both sides, of course, and that kind of throws it off, but it's nothing really to really complain too much about. The back of the big rig wouldn't change anything here. I love the way it looks. I like the back bumper with the tail lights and the turn signals. I like how you can hook a trailer up to it on that piece right there, and then you can get a little bit of a look at the window that I was talking about from the front. That there's no windshield, but there's that back window, and you can see the side view mirrors, which they made a note of in the design notes, and I think everything looks good here. I wouldn't change anything at all. Moving a little forward on the big rig, one of my favorite features about this truck, and probably one of the reasons this is one of my favorite builds from the book, is this feature right here. You take the cabin of this and move it forward, and that exposes the engine underneath there, and I think that's really awesome. The bad news is it's really not balanced, so the front end of it wants to pick the back end up, but I think that looks really great, and I'll get a better shot of that so you can see what the engine looks like in there. I think the engine actually looks fairly realistic. Here's the roof of the big rig. Unfortunately, to get inside the cabin, you got to take this off, so I'm going to disassemble that. And the mirrors come off with that. Here's a little better look at the mirror so you can see what that looks like, just one of those vent pieces. But it works well. It's somewhat reflective, so it kind of looks like a mirror. And then we are inside. You can see the steering wheel is completely flat, which works well for a big rig. It really doesn't need to be tilted. And then, well, that always comes off. This is like the 3rd time that's fallen off, so I'll have to give some points off for the build quality of the bumper and the mud guards always coming off, so we'll just set that aside. But you got the ever-present blue seats that are in every one of these builds, as I always mention. There's no shifter or anything in the center here, which they probably could have easily added, but the interior is pretty sparse, but it's very spacious, like they mentioned in the build, and again, the doors both open, and I think that looks great, the way they both come out. So there you go, that's a look at the big rig, which is build number 8 of 10 of the LEGO Build-A-Book More Amazing Vehicles Volume 2. This was a really great build, so detailed. I love the use of the pieces on this. To only have 8 pieces left over is pretty crazy when you're talking about a 278 piece build. Again, the only things that I would have changed were things that they really couldn't change based on the restrictions of this set, which would be the windshield and having the extra wheel on both sides and the back. But I really can't fault them for that. I'm really happy with this, and this is probably at this point in my top 3 of the 8 builds that I've done so far. But I've looked ahead to next week, and we're going to be building the F1 race car, and that thing looks completely awesome, so I'm really excited about that. The only bad thing is I'm going to have to tear this apart to build it, and that kind of sucks, but I'll be back again with you next week, so thank you for watching, and we'll see you then.